from the most impact on those who they are trying to support with this charity, we can get it done and do exactly what they want to have happen. So one of the things that I enjoy is the business planning, and it's really not so much the business planning itself. It's helping families with closely held businesses ensure that the family gets the maximum value, or that they can transition the business if the kids are interested in taking over the business. And, the estate tax has changed significantly since I was a young lawyer. When I started, mom and dad could move $1.2 million before the estate tax kicked in. That's not the case anymore. With the new law, in this year, it's $15 million. Well, that's really nice, but if somebody has developed a really good business, it doesn't take a huge amount of success to have a business that exceeds $30 million. And then everything else that they've been able to acquire, land, a lake house, a summer place at the beach, all of those add to the estate tax issues. And you have to really consider that 40% tax in how everything gets divvied up, if you will, between, the kids and the grandkids and anybody else that those who created the business want to have happen. So I tend to be able to come in and work with them. I help sell businesses. I do a lot of tax planning while they own the business to make sure that the overall income tax that's being collected off the income at the business, and even as it transfers down to the family, is as low as we can possibly get it. And then, at the same time, I'm helping the parents, and then sometimes even the second generation, the kids, do the estate planning on what do I want my kids to have? Do I want them to be able to just have $15 million dropped in their lap? Do I care whether they get divorced, half of it goes away? Are there things I can do to protect it? So we really work with the families to make sure that all the hard effort that the families have put in, that usually the parents and those working in the business have put in, that is protected for as long as possible. And then we look at helping them take care of any kids who are not in the business. How do you make that fair? And last but not least, I have a lot of clients who have charitable inclinations. And so, how do we help them with their philanthropy? How do we go down the road of taking care of a child and then taking care of the community that made your business successful? I have created a number of family foundations over the years. Those are funded in all sorts of different ways. Some families will leave land, will leave cash, will leave insurance. Other families will leave other assets that they've collected, art, cars, all sorts of things that you can think of. And those then, when they die, go into the foundation. They can either have the foundation keep them so the family can continue to see it and be able to use it, and sell those assets out along the way to develop the cash flow for the philanthropy that the senior generation wanted to have happen. Or it can all be sold at once. And so, depending on the family wants from the most impact on those who they are trying to support with this charity, we can get it done and do exactly what they want to have happen. My process with working with clients the first time really is different depending on why they've called me. So if it's special needs, I want to know about the child. I want to know what the finances of the family, might be. Get a sense of, are there other siblings? Are we young and we got to worry about college for the other kids? So it's really trying to help them get in and work through the financial aspects. For me, you can't draft documents, especially in an estate planning, special needs planning analysis or area, unless you fully understand the financial plan. So the legal documents really have to follow the financial plan, and the financial plan will evolve. And so again, it's the making sure the clients understand that when these certain things happen, you need to be coming back to me or somebody like me to make sure that your documents do what it is you want them to do. And, besides estate planning, it's pretty much the same for or special needs planning. It's the same for traditional estate planning. So if somebody has been an executive and they've just got a nice estate, helping them understand what their choices are. How do you leave a $1 or $2 million IRA between and among your kids? How can you do certain things with that IRA? That's different than it used to be. It used to be we would talk about stretches. Well, now we're talking about, do you need to start drawing it down? Do we need to look at life insurance products? All sorts of different aspects of the planning. If it's a business, what is important to me is understanding what they need to begin with. Because, a client will call me sometimes because Uncle Sam is being mean to them. Another way that I get called is they just want somebody to look over their tax planning. Has their CPA helped them enough? Or has the CPA just been filing returns and not really been proactive in planning? And then, there's just, it may be a contract that they've never put together before, can be all sorts of things. So I, want to make sure I get that. And as we work through that first need, I'll start talking with them about the long term view of the owners. What is that long term view? What are they wanting to accomplish? Are there kids who will be coming into the business? If not, do they have somebody in the business that is going to be the successor? Do we have management succession immediately available? As a lawyer, it's how many angels can dance on the head of a pin. We never know what day anybody is going to pass, and what does that mean, not only for the family, but in a corporate setting or partnership setting, very much what does that mean for the business? And helping them think through those issues. And that will usually lead to me getting tax returns, financial statements, really going through all of those in detail with them and helping them sort of think through, what do I want to have? If I want one child to get the business, does it make sense to have the other kids just own the real estate? And then you don't want the real estate kids requiring the business to move because they want more rent than is realistic. So, you've got to be thinking about how everything comes together. What's the long term lease? Do we do it in 5-year increments? Do we do it in 10-year increments? The older you get, probably the longer the term, but we talk about all the different options of what can be left to what family member and how we get everybody taken care of.